Okay, so this is a normal commute to work for me in the Philippines. Still in the subdivision now. In front you can see the ubiquitous tricycle. Which is the form of transport for a large proportion of the people here. Obviously I'm riding the ZZR. Okay. Obviously as you can see, the traffic here is pretty bad. I think Manila was recently voted to have the worst traffic in the world. People often say, why do you commute on a big bike? Well, my answer to that is, why not? Okay, so bikes like the ZZR and such are famous for their speed, but they're bikes. They do a whole range of things. And the ability to ride through traffic is an important requirement. So today, obviously it's Friday as well, and traffic is often a little heavier on a Friday. Sometimes not, but it's actually very difficult to tell what day is going to be really bad. This, by the way, is not really bad because traffic is moving. The ZZR handles all of this. It's just so easy. It's very maneuverable around traffic. Again, some people say they're not, but that's not my experience. That's a good example of what can happen, especially with slow moving traffic. There's people walking or vehicles all coming through the gaps. And unfortunately, because everyone loves SUVs here, it's very difficult to, and they're blacked out windows, it's very difficult to see beyond the vehicle, which means you can get caught by surprises. But still, makes it interesting. And give you an idea about the temperature. The temperature is quite low at the moment. It's 32 in the shade, high 30s in the sun. So it's very warm, but to be honest, it's never anything else. Even when it's raining here, it's hot. So then you may notice that I'm bare armed. And I know everybody goes on, should be protected, da 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 da. And when I go out thrashing the bike, I have a full leather suit and all the other bits and pieces. But when I'm commuting like this, it's just, if you wear anything other than a shirt, you get to the office and you are soaked with sweat. It's just, as you'll see by looking at others, this is the clothing that they wear. I understand that if I come off, I'll lose this and that, and but I ride appropriately. And other people may disagree, and that's fine for them. But freedom of choice is very important. And I do know what it's like to crash motorcycles at high speed. During the 70s, I used to ride 750s, and I was part of the drink driving culture, which was normal in those days. Not only did I have so many accidents I can't even remember the number. In fact, I once fell off 7 times in one evening. I also wrecked lots of bikes, spent time in hospital, and lost many of my friends. However, I haven't touched a drop and ridden since 1977. So I do know what it's like to crash. Just a little more careful. At least when I'm dressed like this. So as you can see, the ZZR takes all of this in its stride. It doesn't overheat. Now that I've fixed everything as far as the cooling department goes. Okay, we're now coming up onto the toll road, which is the Skyway. This is where you get to open the throttle a little bit. That's if this guy can ever get his money out. Thank you. Okay, a little bit of traffic. I'm not really going to be able to open her up much. Say that, Lee. Okay, lane discipline in the Philippines. Interesting. So firstly, there's no law against undertaking, so you can overtake a vehicle on either side. There is a fast lane, supposed to be, which is the outside lane, and in theory people shouldn't sit there. Of course they do. But because you can overtake on any lane, it means that you're not as held up as you would be, for example, in the UK, where it's illegal. Of course, indicators are entirely optional. Some people use them, some do not. But the same could be said for the use of mirrors. So you never really know what's going to happen. Now, that sounds like a nightmare, and I often hear people say, oh, I could never drive there, but you approach everything with a different mindset. In the West, Take UK for example, or any of the European countries. I suspect the States as well. It's a long time since I've driven there. You expect people to obey road regulations, and for example, you expect them to stop at a junction. Therefore, when somebody doesn't stop at a junction, it really catches people out by surprise, which is understandable. But here, you're always expecting someone to pull out of a junction. It's just the norm. So I would say that you operate at a different level, really, or a different type. Let's put it like that, of riding. I mean, I've driven in China, I've driven here, I've driven in quite a few places, and it's similar. You know, you have to have this similar mindset. Going back to riding a big bike and why ride the ZZR. Now, oh, hear that engine. I've been listening to it since 1990 something and it still sends shivers down my spine. Anyway, getting back to why ride, and they would say other bikes can do this. Well, maybe they can. I'm not denying that. But, hell man, it's a ZZR. It's a ZZR1100. And when I'm not commuting, and on a weekend I take it for a thrash, this machine is making the latest Ducatis and R1s and ZX10s, or making their riders at least look stupid. Because this bike has the ability in the real world to stay with anything on the road. All in all, I love it. Ah dear. I never get sick of this bike. And I will ride it until the day I die. However, I am shortly to get a ZZR1100. Now, why is that? Well, I have spent a huge amount of money maintaining this vehicle and putting it back to the state it was. Effectively, the bike is just a couple years old because just about everything has been replaced. I can't tell you how much time has been spent replacing things and how much money, with every part having to be ordered in from overseas. And I ride this nearly every day. I commute on it, I thrash it on a weekend, and I don't want to ride it every day. Because the parts are so difficult, and obviously the bike is old. So I'm adding a ZX14 to the stable so that I can commute on the ZX14 and use it as my sort of everyday transport. And I want to use the ZZR as my weekend ride. So looking forward to that. I mean, the ZZR14, of course, is an incredible bike, and I think it's vital because the ZZR14 and Busa are the last of the mega bikes. Big CC, immense power, and I think through Euro restrictions and God knows what else, and safety driven by Europe and America, the days of the hyper bikes are coming to an end. You only have to look at the increased sales of like the GS BMWs, God forbid, and vehicles like that. Riding and riders have changed, and that's evolution, I suppose. I don't like it much, but it's evolution. So I want to get the ZZR. I won't get another one, I'm too old, Christ, after the ZZR. But I want to have it in the stable. Okay, so we're now back in McCarthy, coming off the Skyway. Engine temperature's cool. The wildly funny ZZR1100 fuel gauge. I've got over half a tank in there. That's what it means when it's there. You get nothing like the mileage that you do, for example, in UK on these. 200 miles was achievable in UK on a tank, 24 litre tank. But here, with all the traffic and such, you're looking at 150 miles. So I normally, what am I on now? 137. I'll fill it up on the weekend, which is tomorrow. Now, big bikes, they call anything over 400cc here. Big bikes are very rare. And so if you have a big bike, particularly something as imposing as the ZZR11, it causes quite a stir. So you get a lot of people crowd around it. You get a lot of people comment on it, which is pretty nice, to be honest, because it is such a great bike. The camera I'm filming this on is one I've just bought recently, a Senna Prism Tube. I think it's great. Bit of a problem downloading the software for the phone to put the settings in, but once I'd mastered that after a couple of hours, I got this because I was in China recently and I purchased a Chinese copy, and it was a disaster. It fell apart in just a couple of weeks. That'll teach me, huh? But I liked the design and such, so I then purchased one from the States, which arrived beginning of this week. That building on our right now, earlier this week, the French free climber, Spider-Man, climbed up and down the building. 56 years old. Absolutely incredible. What a guy. Yeah. Okay, so here we are at the entrance to the car park, to the offices. Morning! Morning!